Warning. Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and some stories may be dramatized for comedic effect. Enjoy.
Welcome to Pro-Tri News. This week we're going to open with some sorrow and some sad news in the world of triathlon, particularly in the world of British triathlon, with the passing of Sam O'Shea. Sam was, in his own right, a wonderful athlete. He raced for Gibraltar in the Commonwealth Games. He was a long-term triathlete. He was a staple on the Leeds triathlon scene. He worked alongside many of the best athletes there, and then in more recent years became, I guess, triathlon famous as Lucy Byram's better half. And unfortunately, a couple of days ago, Sam O'Shea passed away in a cycling incident in the mountains of Font-Romeu. Tragically, we believe he was out riding with Lucy at the time. He's survived by his parents, who were regulars on the T100 scene. He is one of the faces you would always expect to see in the bike room at the bar. He's one of those men that you perhaps only realize in hindsight, maybe his family do, that was universally loved. He was popular, he was smart, he was dedicated, he was professional in everything he did, and he will be deeply missed in the triathlon world. Those that know him have nothing but kind words to say about Sam. So that's our small tribute to Sam. You'll be missed, mate. And I think for everyone in the world, it was a real shock. So we're really sorry for Lucy and her family at this time as well. Right, we're going to have to try and bounce back with a bit of positivity because we've got a big show coming up. We've got a big week of triathlon coming up. We had some good races this weekend. And of course, we have the World Championships next weekend. Kyle, take us away.
Yeah, thanks for that tribute, Mark. Moving on to this weekend. Obviously, the big race coming up is the Ironman World Championship. We're going to highlight a couple of performances that happened throughout this weekend. 70.3 Poland. First win for Rebecca Anderberry from GB. She had a monumental podium at 70.3 Swansea Pro Series race. And now not just her first win.
I know we only cover the wins here. I know we only cover the wins on these. She lives down the road from us. She's coached by Sam Proctor. Her bike split was a 2:06 on an accurate course. Men weren't riding that a few years ago. So big up, Rebecca.
Huge. So, and then an athlete from Denmark, Valdemar Solek, went wire to wire to win the 70.3 race in Poland. Moving on to the 70.3 in Belgium, Didi Dirks gets her first win in 2 seasons, and Cameron Main bounces back after a 5th place last weekend at Zell MC to get his first ever win. So shout out to Cameron Main for that. We also had racing in the States at 70.3 Santa Cruz, which is a staple here in the U.S. If you've ever raced there in California, it's beautiful. Finished on the sand. And Sam Appleton notches his 20th ever career win at 70.3 this weekend with a win there. And Tamara Jewett wins her first 70.3 in nearly 2 seasons. So huge results there at Santa Cruz. And shout out to Sam Appleton. I mean, 20 wins is huge in your career. And for him to reach that milestone, that's pretty huge. And I mean, he's at 3 wins, I believe, for this season. So, I mean, he's firing.
That's a lot of wins. I know I know a few more, and there's people with a few more, but 20 70.3 wins is a massive amount.
Yeah. So crazy. While we were recording last week, I'd say the news was starting to unfold about Hayden Wild and issues that he raced in at 70.3 French Riviera. Now, we posted about that because we were getting word that there was going to be a protest lodged by a couple of federations, I believe the Belgian Federation and the British Federation. So we were just trying to get the news out in the open about what had happened and kind of the facts of what we believe transpired. So we posted about it. We didn't really talk about it a whole lot on the at all really on the podcast. So do you guys want to go into that a little bit more?
I think the biggest reason why we didn't really talk a lot about it is because we didn't have all the facts at the time. We didn't have the email from ASICS themselves that was sent out to the athletes a month prior to this race that told the athletes, do not compete in these shoes until September 11th. And we also didn't have the email that was sent out by World Triathlon telling all the athletes that these shoes are not allowed to be used in competition. And then also, to my knowledge, I hadn't seen the video of Hayden actually admitting to wearing the prototype shoes. That was a hot mic on the back half of the stream after he'd finished, and then also saying, "Don't worry, they don't check anyways, and it's all good. I don't think anyone saw," which I think also adds a lot of context to it. So we didn't have all that context while we recorded the episode as well.
And I think let's just maybe go back and Talbot, I think, can you just clue the audience into and what one of our pillars or North Stars for our show is?
It is about fairness and transparency in sport across for the professional athletes.
Yeah. So that's one of our pillars. And so here's a few things that I believe to be true. We all love Hayden, right? We are all huge Hayden fans.
He was on our live show in New Zealand.
We were super devastated that we had to report on this. But the fact is that one, we owe it to ourselves because this is abiding by our North Star around fairness. And two, we owe it to the other pro athletes. And if we could all pick another athlete that if they were using this shoe, no matter what place they would have got, we would have hammered them for it. So here's why. The other piece for me is, people will go online and comment. I've seen he could have won in Birkenstocks. He could have won in Crocs. That's not the point. The point is that he wore a shoe that wasn't deemed legal until after September 11th. And he'd been told multiple times that this shoe wasn't permitted. It's quite clear to me that him and unfortunately Sam Long are going to be in the same boat where the only way forward here I see as a disqualification. This doesn't mean that I no longer like Sam or Hayden, but it's pretty clear when you look at what the rule book says, they are not in line with the rule book. I think that, the remark that Hayden made was flippant at best on the hot mic. It showed, for me, an immense disrespect and disregard for the rules. I'm not going to hold that against him forever, but between this and presumably what he's doing with his water bottle, he's on thin ice, I think, in a lot of people's mind. I didn't think
Do you want
that
me to explain the water bottle thing as well?
Sure.
It's the minor thing, and it's not. We don't know it's cheating. I think it might be more gamesmanship or something the rules need to catch up on. And we only mention this because it got hit in a few of our comment sections. So what he's done is he's got a magnetic aero bottle, and if he puts it where he wants it, which is below his between the arms bottle, it makes him more aero, assumably, because you fill that gap. But if he does that, it comes further than 25 centimeters back. So what he's done is mount one of the magnetic bottle cages on the triangle of the frame, which is a few watts slower. And then as soon as he leaves transition, he moves the bottle from there to below between his arms. And I saw that Kyle Smith actually had the same setup, but throughout the race, Kyle Smith's bottle remained in the triangle, I believe. So that's another more grey area. But the shoe area, the other one I found, going away from Hayden, that was his running coach he's with, is he, at the finish line?
Yes.
I believe. His running coach tells him to take the shoes off and hide them, essentially. Otherwise, why is he making that statement? You don't really hear the coach. I'm not sure I like that in a coach. I think that's encouraging deceitful activity, in my opinion.
Yep.
Here's I guess a question, and some of the people brought it up. He can't be disqualified because we're outside of the protesting window. Is this true?
No, that's not true. Please bear with me while I pull up the rules on what World Triathlon has the right to do.
Okay, and I think that we sent these in our group. Someone hunted these down with Steve Jackson, who also listens to the show, but that's where I got them from.
The results revision process by the World Triathlon Technical Committee. Section A, the World Triathlon Technical Committee may revise the competition results on the basis of new evidence. Section B, there is no time limit on the results revision process. So I think
it
says in there too, if there's new evidence found. That was what I said in Section A. I don't see how World Triathlon doesn't disqualify Hayden based on this. Do you guys disagree? I mean, they sent out an email that said, "Do not wear these shoes until after September 11th."
I don't think this entire thing is about Hayden. My thing is, if the World Triathlon does not grow a pair of balls and disqualify and set the standard for the athletes, why would any athlete listen to any rule? I mean, like if you're an athlete and you look at that water bottle thing, forget everyone who's listening right now. All the pros that are listening, they might check it when you go in transition. So guess what you can do? Just skew the rule when you get out, shove in a larger water bottle. I mean, like, when are we going to abide by these rules? If World Triathlon doesn't do this and submit themselves as, here are the rules and the guidelines, you follow them. Then if you don't have to obey the rules on the course, why do you need to obey them off the course?
So I guess then where that leads us is this a mess for T100, or is this the perfect storm for their season-long narrative on a runaway championship in the men's race? How can they spin doctor this?
Yeah, I said when we chatted offline, T100 won't want to do it, but I think you're right. It makes the series way more exciting because otherwise Hayden's going to run away with it. Now, that's not a reason to disqualify someone. No. Like we tend to agree, he could have won in different shoes, I'm sure. But they disqualify athletes after races all the time, anti-doping. Like they do that. And this is not the same thing, but that is a retrospective disqualification because you discover someone has violated the rules. So I'm with you. It's maybe a bit harsh because they should have just checked them beforehand. But
I feel like the language here is really open to support World Triathlon to do this DQ, and they did the new evidence language specifically vague enough that there is just new evidence presented here, right? I mean, he knowingly ran in the shoes. There's video and photo evidence of that. What he said online was very clear. And then the statement that I still don't agree with, I don't understand why he said anything online until World Triathlon had made a ruling on this.
Because then he just incriminated himself already.
Exactly. So that's that to me was the nail in the coffin for him. It's our understanding that Thanos who's the head technical delegate for World Triathlon for many, many years, is on vacation until tomorrow. So I'm assuming that when he opens his inbox on Monday morning, he'll have already been prepped for this, and they're gonna make some decisions here.
Do you not think though this is like a big enough thing that maybe even though you're on holiday, you are probably dealing with behind the scenes as T100? Do you think they're just sitting back waiting? Like,
no.
What happens if you're F1? Has any F1 drivers ever been disqualified for doing something illegal?
Yeah, Ferrari, it happened to them this year at China because their car was deemed illegal after the race due to plankware, and they both got disqualified.
And actually, all these big sports that T100 want to be like, UFC, people have been disqualified for having dodgy gloves that have been found out after the fact. Like
Golfing.
Loading your gloves up, like golf equipment, extra club in the bag, etc. The competitions they want to be like do
tennis.
It. Tennis rackets, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Thanos is European, Talbot. So when they go on holiday, they actually take holiday. Americans, I know you guys just work straight through because you love it.
Here in America, when you go on like pregnancy leave, you get like 6 days out of office, maybe 7 on a good day. But
I think the other thing to like, it's no secret that we've been pretty vocal, and now other media outlets have jumped on and started talking about this as well. But we're relying on World Triathlon, who had, a little bit of a questionable election last year. So relying on them for any sort of integrity or something like this could be a thing that they like right the ship, and they're like, okay, well, we're following rules. We're trying to return the integrity back to the governing body of the sport.
Yeah, and let's be clear, Kyle. They didn't have a questionable election. That questionable is not the right word. They had an illegal election that was deemed a huge infraction by CAS, the Court of Arbitration of Sport. So it wasn't questionable. It was done improperly, to say the least. For me, the rule book is very clear here on how they move forward. Unfortunately, Sam and Hayden should be disqualified, regardless of my feelings of them. They were not in line with the rules, the way I interpret the rules. The question is going to be, do they go back and also do this in London?
Oh, yes. Interesting. Really interesting.
Did Hayden wear these shoes in London as well?
Hayden wore the shoes in London.
were they illegal then as well?
Well, that's the big question. Is like I believe ASIC sent that email out a week before the London
Yeah, it
race.
was on August 1st. The email was sent on August 1st.
So there'll be a question. So there'll be a question around the fact there was a prototype of these shoes that was legal for a period. The European Marathon Champs, I believe, was one in them. Other races have been one in them. And then the prototype expired on the World Athletics approved shoe list. The new shoe came out, but its authorization wasn't approved yet. So there was this window, and it's when those two started and whether his were a prototype or not. The one thing I will say is I did see a couple of times, why is Hayden getting all the flack and not Sam? Well, it's twofold. One, Hayden won. That just is natural. Like that's why people are more bothered. And two, he got caught on the hot mic and he clearly knew. Whereas Sam, it sort of swept under the carpet. Albert, what do you reckon?
I agree. I agree on that. And then, like I said, I know we've said this a million times in here. We all love Hayden. Like this sucks that we got to cover this. But the problem here is that if this was another athlete that we didn't really know, and I'm someone that we're probably biased towards or whatever it is, we still have to cover it. That's our job on raising awareness for professional triathlon and fairness of our podcast. So we put that up, and a lot of people said, who cares? The shoes aren't, they're illegal 10 days later. Who cares this? Who cares? It is the rules, and the rules have to be followed. I don't agree with 12 meters, but that is the rules. I wish it was, that's the rules. And so if you don't set the precedent, then you open up a can of worms for future problems down the road. So I think we can put this one to bed. It sucks. We all love Hayden. This sucks that it was him, but it's just.
At what point do you think we all get refollowed by Hayden?
Yeah,
Hayden
he unfollowed all of us.
I didn't even post.
I'm not going to get on a podcast and beg someone to. I'm not going to get on a podcast and beg someone to follow me back on social media like other outlets. But
oh my god, yeah,
it did sting when Talbot sent it in the group. So
yeah,
Well,
it sucks. But it's Hayden. I just want you to know, if this was one of your competitors and we thought we love you. We're not doing this. We just want to be fair.
Yep.
Right, let's stop kissing his ass now because we have proper fucking burnt him online. So
But
let's
I
not
want
now
him to follow
try
me
not-
back. I want
you're
him to follow me
torched,
back.
Nathan. You're done. You're
Right.
dead to us.
You're dead. Yeah, come on, let's move on.
All right. We spent 10 minutes on that. Now we're about to spend a whole lot longer on the Ironman World Championship preview coming up this weekend in Nice for the men. We've had a stellar year, I would say, of qualification and the first 15 races of the Ironman Pro Series. Coming into this race, you got people that are heavy favorites, people that are going to be kind of searching for things. There's going to be people that are up over their skis that need to kind of right the ship for the season. We can start off from the swim and go through the bike course. We can start out with talking about the results from the past World Championships. Where do you guys want me to start?
I think we need to start first with Kyle's Instagram video that he made that I watched myself and saw Patrick crossing the finish line and the music and Mark screaming. I mean, Patrick wouldn't even have won if it wasn't for Mark's splits that he was giving him. But
I didn't scream at Patrick. He screamed abuse at me. We've made this very clear.
You were supposed to do the math. You were the math wizard. So.
You were the math wizard. My whole point is, if you're not following us on Instagram, you need to follow us. I know that our Instagram following is 99% male. We have 32,000 followers. So I encourage every male to go get your wife or girlfriend or significant other's phone, follow us, and overnight we'll have 60,000 followers. So I'd really appreciate if you do that. But guys, we are stoked because we do have a lot of content planned this next week. So make sure you follow us on Instagram and
YouTube and follow us on the YouTube.
And YouTube. But this is going to be a massive week. I already have tons of FOMO. Tons of people are there. I take off tomorrow. I think we're even going to get Mark boots on the ground there too. The whole team's going. What are our thoughts when we're looking at the outside of things? Ironman's been promoting the hell out of this race, so hats off to them. But who do we think is looking the hottest, fit, and ready?
Sorry, let me just log on to tryrating.com and
2 weeks ago I got Thorsten's guide for the World Championships. I'm still not through it. That's how thorough.
It's 80 pages. 80 pages.
I plan on getting through it before Kona next year.
and he does it. he does all that for free as well. Like
Yeah.
that. If you don't do this, shout out to Thorsten. He is the OG of analysis of triathlon.
But he does take
Hop on a site
donations
called
for it. So
TriRacing.com.
if you are a nerd and you do want to go through it and thumb through it and have something to look at while you're on the toilet, it's definitely something that you want to look at.
Guys,
$5
everyone's
is a
there.
reasonable amount.
Everyone's there that matters. Everyone's there. It's important. But there's only one name I can't look past, and I just think he's going to dust everyone in the field. Sam Laidlow.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I just. yeah.
I have we can get to the favorites here in a little bit. I think maybe let's talk us through. Mark's probably got it the best understanding of the way that this course is different than Kona. So Mark, as our final non-Kona World Championship for the foreseeable future, how will this World Championship differ? Because it's in Nice. The forecast is rather cool. How will this race be different than if the men were in Nice in a month's time?
Kona?
So twofold. One, the race will be less attritional because the heat makes the race really attritional. We see that in Kona all the time. Like Patrick Langer said on the pretty good Ironman wrap-up video that I just watched, actually, you can let the race come to you in Kona because the heat just destroys people. However, the other factor is their bike course. Like last year, we saw something like a 20-person pack for a lot of the bike course. That won't happen here. Now, there will still be packs because the riders are a pretty equal caliber. But after 10K, the road swings a right turn and just starts climbing. And actually, the steepest part of the course is sort of 13K in. And they're really steep little kickers. Straight away, that'll split things up. And then it rolls for a while, and then there's one good solid climb. So the two factors, Pat, are the climbs on the bike course and, to some extent, the technical descents and the lack of heat, I think.
I say we just thumb through some names. Let's just start off first with your Ironman world champion, Patrick Longa. Is he too big of a pack rat to hang on here? Is he proven on this course, Mark? Can he compete on this course?
Second last time here in 2023. He rode really well, and I understand his riding's improved since then as well. He actually had there's actually a second climb that people sort of overlook that's about 15 minutes long, and he actually rode really well there, dropped the pack he was with, and kind of came into the race. Now, can he climb with maybe like a Martin Van Riel or a Gustav Eden or Sam Laidlow? Probably not, but with the depth of the field, can he still feature? Well, I think we've all unanimously agreed on this podcast we will never count out Patrick Langer again.
Are we going to see Sam Laidlow go for, kind of hitting it out of the park on the bike again? Are we going to see him just absolutely? Because
that's all we've ever seen him do. 2022 Ironman World Championship in Kona, he did it. 2023 Ironman World Championship in Nice, he did it. Last year, 2024 Ironman World Championship in Kona, he did it again. He doesn't know how to race any other way.
So and naturally he's going to be set up that way because he is one of the best swimmers in the race, right?
Yeah, premier swimmer.
So he's going to push the swim. But are we going to see him go to the level that he did last year?
I mean, I guess we are going to have to ring up a friend of the show, Alec Riddle, because he can probably tell us Jamie Riddle's game plan. But I wonder how much assistance he's going to be getting from Jonas and Jamie Riddle, who are both phenomenal bikers. And you can't look past that front group coming out of the water because it's not just going to be Sam. I mean, you have some phenomenal cyclists up there. But
Mark will be there.
Yeah, I mean, but Sam's proved time and time again. He laughs every time he shows up to the World Championship and lets everyone know
he's like,
I am the best cyclist in the sport of triathlon.
Yeah, I think the way Jonas Schomburg hit transition in Roth is a good indicator. It's a longer transition in Nice as well. And if you watch back the video of Jonas running through transition in Roth, deliberately trying to get that gap, Sam won't lead out onto the bike. I think Jonas will do the same again. He will be at the front of that swim group as well, and he will absolutely drill it. It's then how long can he ride with Sam? I think a very long way. Martin Van Riel, now he's not been running. So is he going to throw all his eggs in his swim bike? He can swim with that front group. He'll swim with Sam as well. He will hit the bike at the start hard. So if Sam breaks clear, I don't think it'll be quite as dominant as he did last year from the start. I think there's a few, they're quite, Martin Van Riel's a light guy. He climbs really well. So I think the front of this race will be super exciting. Does KB make the front swim group?
That's like a really interesting point, because you got to wonder, even with KB, would you almost not in any way hating on KB. I don't think he can ride with these boys. And I think if he does, I think he's only going to hurt himself on the run. So if he's with you in that group, do you just slowly throttle him all day? Because he's going to sit at the back of it, because he's like, boys, let's go to the run. I'll outrun every single one of you, tongue in cheek, any day. Can he make that group out of the water?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. And I don't like to bring body image into it, but KB has clearly shed a lot of weight. I think he's going to be a little. I think he's going to be a little less buoyant in the ocean swim, and it's going to surprise him, the deficit that creates.
It's an interesting prediction.
That's a good point, Pat.
I just think I don't want KB could win this thing really easily. I think that he's gonna, in hindsight, realize that he probably lost a little bit too much weight, more than he needed to, and he's gonna have lost some power because of it. And I think what we forget is he needs that strength to propel him to the victories that he's had in the past, whether it's the Olympic Games, the Ironman World Championships, anything that he won, he's relied on that. And I think he's gone too far away. The pendulum has swung too hard because he's thinking about the climbing that has to happen here. Mark, you have a rebuttal.
Yeah, sorry to the listeners. I think I'm on a slight delay to the boys in America. So if I'm chopping over them, that's why. I just think it's super bold. And I like it. I like it as a take, but I think it's super bold to sort of predict against KB because of something as small as a bit of weight. And I know you're trying to make it interesting, partly.
And I want to support, the reason why I'm going to support it here. He was so good in Texas. If I would have been on his side, I would have said, do not deviate from what you've done in Texas to get ready for Texas, to get ready for Frankfurt. And I think that this has been a deviation, and not a minor one, from what has worked tremendously well this year.
I think that if I'm KB, I'm watching someone in this race. I'm watching Patrick Lang. He knows how to limit his losses. He's raced on this course before. This will be KB's first time. I'm watching him, and I'm watching Magnus, because we know Magnus and KB will probably come out of the water together, and KB is going to try to go with them. And the lightness of KB to how Magnus is a bigger athlete, you got to wonder, can KB go with Magnus on the climbs? We know he can descend. You can watch wheels in front of you, but I mean, we're in for a good race.
When did we last see Magnus Ditlev dominate a bike leg? It's been a while.
South Africa.
I think the rest.
Okay.
Against Martin Van Riel, who raced a week later. And it was clearly in his T100 phase, Van Riel. I haven't seen him dominate a big field in the way he used to. And I think it's partly due to the fact the others have caught up. I don't think Magnus is riding particularly badly or any worse than before. I just think the others have kind of upped their technical game a little bit. And I think there's a few more punchy athletes in the races. Laidlow's often got the better of him outside of Roth. He blew on the bike in Kona last year.
So sorry, I'm gonna push back, and not because it's Magnus, but what I'm gonna say is Magnus is way more durable at that effort than those around him. So yes, he didn't have the best bike split last year, but I think what happens is everybody else overbikes and then they crumble around him. So he still has durability after that effort. So do I think that even coming this week, do we think that Magnus will have the best bike split? I think it's probably a coin flip with a couple of different sides on it. But the difference is he's still going to have the durability afterwards, where I think this weekend in particular, with the cooler temperatures, we're going to see so many dudes go beyond their actual capacity and fall off because of it later on.
Do you think, though, that it's a storyline, Pat, that the Norwegians were able to cover him off every time he was going for it in Frankfurt? Like, it is a legit thing that Mark's brought up here. And Frankfurt wasn't that long ago.
Totally. I don't think we've got a clear read on, we don't really know what could have happened in Frankfurt had Magnus not had the penalty.
But let's not forget too, Frankfurt's a different course.
Totally.
It's a lot flatter, a lot more sitting in a pack, and people covering that. That was a big group. And every time Magnus put on a surge, not Christian, because Christian never closed the gap. Casper or Gustav were the working boys, and they closed that gap. So I guess another question we have, because we also happen to have his manager here on the show, and Mark brings up technical aspects. Magnus is usually a pretty technical, techie, savvy guy. Are we going to see any special wizardy stuff on his bike coming up, Pat?
I think what we should really focus on is...
Whoa,
wait a second. Pat, let me be more clear with my question. When Magnus brings his bike into bike drop, is there going to be something pretty cool on there that no one's ever seen before?
Do you guys think when they hit the bottom of the hill, they're going to just go ballistic?
Mark, help me here.
Yes.
He's dodging our questions.
Yeah, well, just wait till you see Magnus's wheel set. It's something to behold. I've got no idea. That's a joke. Right. Do I think they'll go ballistic? Yes, absolutely. Jonas Schomburg will go nuclear. He'll go hard to get there. Laidler will cover him, probably go over the top of him. Van Riel will go with Laidler for a while. The Norwegians will be a little bit further back. I'm really curious to see Gustav Eden's swim and where he comes out. In the last few races, he's been dropped by Christian in the swim. But he's well capable of swimming there if he's kind of back on some form. He climbs really well. His bike's a little bit lighter than Christian's. I could see Gustav going particularly hard at the start to get into contention. And then there'll be some others.
Can we do a lap on Gustav? Can we do a lap on Gustav real quick? Because we've done a lap on the other two past world champions that are towing the line here. I think that Gustav has come into form. He's built into the season very well. Every race he's done, he's had a better result and progressively gotten better. There was a post put up, I believe, by either another media outlet or someone else that Gustav is riding better than any of the other Norwegians currently. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. I mean, it's no secret that he won his first 70.3 world title here in Nice in 2019 on a road bike. So if someone's able to race well in Nice, it's definitely Gustav, and he's definitely a name that he should be high on everyone's list for being able to perform.
I'm going to put him down for a 4th or 5th place. And I think that if that happens on Sunday afternoon, he's got a big smile on his face, and I think we're all happy and high-fiving with him. I'm stretching to find a way how he gets onto the podium, because for me, there's 4 real clear podium standouts here. You got KB, Laidlow, Ditlev, and Lange. And it's just really, really hard for me to see past those 4. And so you got 4 guys there fighting for 3 spots. I don't know where Gustav fits into that.
I think his name's Gustav Eden, and he's won a lot of 70.3 world titles, and he's won the big race in Kona.
I just don't know how he gets there on race day. How does he get past those? And let's not forget, even a performance like what Rudy von Berg did last year. Yeah. I think, and he was 4th here 2 years ago. I think what's an interesting one for me is you probably have some guys in the front of the race. I'm going to say Martin Van Riel and Jamie Riddle, who are probably there to just sniff around and cause a little chaos. I don't think that they're thinking about the finish. And how do those 2 become playmakers in this thing, right? Do they pull a group away on the climb? Do they bring a group up? but I think that we're going to look at it afterwards and go, those dudes impacted the race.
I think when you look at someone like Gustav, though, you need to remember this. This was Gustav's come out party. This was when Gustav Eden showed up to 70.3 Worlds, bottom bib number, had one of the fastest descents down this climb on the downhill section, and he can outrun a majority of the people in this field. Let's say that he's able to unleash an athlete like KB or unleash a Patrick, and he's within striking distance. I mean, I think we would all agree here. Gustav's outrunning Sam Laidlow, and he's outrunning Jonas, and he's outrunning Magnus. If he can offload Patrick Lang and KB, Gustav could theoretically run away with this.
I will say I'm not that convinced he necessarily outruns Magnus. I think actually one of his strengths is turning into a marathon off a world champs. Like his running is really good, and Gustav needs to improve a little bit on Frankfurt if he's going to outrun the likes of Magnus. I mean, would say
he did outrun Magnus by 9 minutes in Frankfurt.
Yeah, after Magnus had a penalty, then a penalty taken off, and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I agree. I fundamentally do agree he's a better runner. There are some other names here as well, by the way, that will be interesting. Because they will sniff around, like Leon Chevalier. Now, he's not at his best season, but he is damn good at a world championships. How he goes on this course, I'm not so sure, because he's had a few poor races recently, but I think he is worth a mention. As well, like an Antonio Benito Lopez. Again, I'm not sure with the bike here, but he'll run really well. The interesting is a young name, Finn Grosser-Fraser, who won Copenhagen, and I think he won Austria this year. Now, my worry there is Copenhagen was only the 17th of August, so he's really backed up late for this. And his strength is the swim and the run. He's not necessarily the strongest cyclist, but he ran a 2:32 in Copenhagen, so the boy can run. I just think it's a really competitive race, and we're focusing on the others. And after having said all that, I think we're right to focus on the others. We have already spoke about the winner, whoever it is.
Is it fair to say, and I know that we say this every year, is it fair to say that this is the most stacked men's world championship field we've ever seen as of 1 week before?
I don't
because I think,
so.
but you don't think so? A year ago, we would have said these are the favorites for the race. All of them, as of today, Sunday, 1 week before the big show, are all scheduled to race.
I still think.
I think you can, because they're better. They're the same names, but Gustav is better this year. You add Schomburg, you add Van Riel. You've still got Laidler, you've still got Langer, you've still got Ditlev, you've got both the main Norwegians. I probably.
I agree that they're better, but I still go back to the 18 Patrick Longo win when you had in this era the likes of Jan Frodeno, who cramped his back and couldn't run with Patrick, who you had Sebastian Kienle, Lionel Sanders returning from a second place finish. I mean, that was a stacked field. And
Patrick ran away Brownlee in there as well.
Yeah, and a Brownlee, yes, I think we can all say every year it's the best, it's the best, it's the best, it's the best, but you can't turn away from some of the iconic moments of the sport.
But I would say that this is a very stacked world. I'm excited for it because I believe that there are 5, maybe a couple more athletes that could inevitably win this race versus it being kind of a runaway. You know what I mean?
I would say there's 3.
You think only 3 people could win the race?
Right. Hang on. Rudy von Berg. We haven't said his name.
Oh,
does he do
Pat
okay?
Said his
hey, we haven't got to podium picks yet.
No, let's talk about him a little bit.
Keep the show going.
Let's talk about him a little bit. I mean, Rudy hasn't raced that much this season. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes. This is basically like a secondary home race for him, growing up in this area. So if anyone's going to be able to ride super well and swim super well, it's going to be him. McCall Eden's been able to get him up and good to go for 2 of the last 3 world championships. So there's no question that he's going to have him ready for this one.
I want to maybe go a little bit deeper and
Wait. We got to keep going on Rudy, guys.
He's fourth and then third.
Von Berg Sr., if you don't know Rudy's dad, recently uploaded a photo on Instagram. And this is
Was it
why
him
I
and
think
Lance Armstrong?
no.
Oh.
It's McCall, Eden, and Rudy. And I just want you to take a look at the shirt that McCall's wearing.
Oh, Pro Tri News. I'm all
So-
about Rudy Von Berg.
So I think Rudy Von Berg could potentially win, if not 100% chance podium.
Well, the thing is, he probably will podium, right? Like we always forget him. But the problem, the thing I have with Rudy is he can, in my opinion, cannot run well enough to win it because he needs a Laidlow-like gap to win it because he's going to lose time on the run to Christian Blumenfeld, to Langer, whatever. But he can be in that first group, whatever the main group looks like. You know, he will be in the top 10 onto the run for sure.
Yep.
And he will run a 2:37.
This is the perfect example, though. Rudy is the benefactor, in my opinion, from Martin Van Riel and Jamie Riddle pulling the group forward. Somebody's going to be on the back end of that misses that, and whatever it is going to be, they're going to stretch that gap, whether it would have been 3 minutes, they're going to all of a sudden come in with 7. And that's the buffer that Rudy's going to need or earn to ultimately get on the podium. That's kind of where I'm thinking where it goes with him. I think same could be said for me, where if we're going to go like think about who could be aspirational for top 5, top 10, does Matthew Marquardt get into a situation like that where he's in that group and instead of doing the driving that he normally is, he's sharing the workload, and then he comes in with a 5th place or a 7th place, which would be an amazing result for him.
The interesting thing about Marquardt is, like, okay, yes, he's cramped in all of his races that he's done in transition, and then he falls back into the group. What I feel like that's done is the last 2 seasons beforehand, Marquardt's always raced from the front, swam super well, gone off the front on the bike. Now this has taught him how to ride with a group, ride with other people. This could bode well for him coming into Nice.
The problem I have with Marquardt cramping in this race is this isn't a race that you can ride yourself back into. This is a race that when you cramp in transition, that group is gone. There's no riding back into some of the athletes at the front of this race. And back to Rudy. Okay. Rudy was aggressive here in 2023 on the bike and finished just off the podium. Rudy did not sit in that group in Kona last year. Rudy took plenty of turns at the front of that group with Ben Canute and the likes of others and ran onto the podium. Phenomenal run. Rudy could easily get on the podium here. He literally is going to ride right up with all that group, and then he's one of the best descenders here. I mean, literally his parents' house is on the freaking course. This is his backyard. So don't look past that as well. He's sleeping in his own bed before the race. So don't forget about that.
Quick 60-second lap real quick, because I feel like this is important. The T100 athletes doing this race. You got Sam Long, who hasn't really raced great on the T100 circuit this year, qualified at Ironman Chattanooga with no swim. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes. Antonio Benito Lopez, long distance world champion, won it this year. 2nd place to KB in Texas. Martin Van Riel, who raced really, really well at Ironman South Africa, and then now is coming back from injury. However, he did win 70.3 Nice this season. So we'll see how he goes. Jason West on his debut as well. Strong showing at Lake Placid, 5th place. Is going to lose too much time on the bike. Of those 4 guys, which one do you guys have all your eggs in their basket that they're going to be better than the others on the T100 circuit?
Jason West.
Antonio Benito.
I'm with Talbot, Antonio Benito Lopez. I just think we're, unfortunately, because we would be talking about Van Riel like he's one of the favourites, right, if he hadn't had this injury. So that's why I put him to one side. Sam Long, he's been poor all year. He got outridden by, everyone in France. Lopez is so consistent and he runs really well. It still could be hot. Europe's expecting a bit of a heat wave. So I'm going him. But interesting with West, I just think the climb, Pat.
I think the thing for me is he's just going to do his own program all day. And I think that he's going to be, I'm talking about a performance for Jason West where he runs into 18th place, right? Like I'm not saying he's going to top 10, but of that group, I think he's going to perform the best because he's had a schedule that's his own quite reasonable. I'm looking at the extended forecast right now. It's going to be a high of 76. So once he gets off and ready to run, he's going to be able to just push himself and get in a rhythm. And so I think he's going to be one that actually benefited from just getting to do the 180K by himself, where I think Antonio, potentially he's got to push himself a little bit.
Yeah,
Something also with Jason West, like he's raced 2 70.3 World Championships. One he was 28th, and then the other one he was 27th. So
he
seeing how well he would race.
He did run phenomenal in Lake Placid, and he does have a new bike. He's been aero tested on it on that new Ventum. A lot lighter the previous version. It could play to his advantage, especially on this course. I do see someone like Wes running through the field. It will just be limiting his losses on the bike.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mark, sorry, I just have a question about the course. Mark, this is our last time for the future doing a 4-lap run course. I'm still one to believe that the lapped run course creates way more DNFs, because when you go back to do your, complete your lap, you're sitting there going, I can't do another one. I can't go to the airport again. Where when you don't have a choice when you're in Kona, because you go 13 miles out and 13 miles back. So your only way home is your left and your right foot. Will there be a higher DNF rate here this coming Sunday?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think people do. It gets in their head, because also you see the other athletes coming past so much earlier, and you know just how far out the race you are. Whereas Kona, you can sort of kid yourself, just get to the turn, and once you're at the turn, well, I may as well run home, like you say. The other one is, I think people blow their legs apart on the climbs.
I agree.
Because they don't get the quite overpowering, right? You have to overpower climbs slightly, but it's an Ironman, so you can't afford to go above threshold for more than a minute here or there. So yeah, I think so, Pat. I think we'll see a whole load of DNFs, less in the age group field, because there's no heat and that causes it, but in the pro field, yeah.
Do you think that they'll go faster than Laidlaw went last time? Last time Laidlaw rode a 4:31.28.
Yeah, they go faster.
I mean, it's relative because it's going to be different conditions, right? But I mean, and also a very interesting thing. So 2023, the swim was swim skin. 2024, last year for the women, it was wetsuit. Right now, it's kind of split. Like it's leading to believe that the age groupers are going to be a wetsuit swim, but the pros are going to be a swim skin. So depending on how the weather shakes out, like we could maybe see a wetsuit swim for the men. Does that change anything in your guys' opinion, or you think it's going to play out pretty similar?
For me, it doesn't change anything. Mark?
For me, it changes the bike dynamic, because I think the front group is just naturally bigger with a wetsuit, because some of those swimmers that otherwise would get dropped, they get fed out. So I don't think it'll change it, because 2023 was non-wetsuit, wasn't it? I believe, for the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the women was wetsuit last year. If it somehow drops to wetsuit, I think you'll see a much bigger group, and it'll be a little bit more dynamic, whatever, on the bike, and a few more games and a few more fresh legs. But I'd like non-wetsuit.
Last name want to throw on here. Do we have a confirmation if he's racing or not? We do know that he is having a baby later on, Christian Hogenhog. Do you know if he's going to toe the line?
Already had his baby.
He's already had the baby. Now, the problem is for Christian, he banked on almost not being able to race. Yeah, so he's had a baby. He's very honest that he's parenting right now. He is not sleeping in a separate room, sleeping the full hours. He's parenting. And he banked on almost not being able to race by doing like Swansea into Lake Placid, Frankfurt, Texas. Like he's already done 3 fulls. He's already done a couple of halves. He did Placid, which isn't ideal. It's a bit later. So, and now he's not training as well as he would. His Instagram's really good, by the way. He puts up his weekly training and his sessions and stuff, and it's really interesting. I think, unfortunately for Christian, he is just going to be a bit tired and a bit off the pace. But after the Frankfurt performance, like, could he still do well? Yes, I think so. But I think he's learning the lesson that Pat and Talbot have already learned, that parenting ain't easy.
And he was the closest at Frankfurt, obviously. He's been the closest this season to beating Christian Blumenfeld at the full distance. So it could bode well for him. Another thing we probably should chat about is the Pro Series. Leon Chevalier is leading the Pro Series right now with 3 full distance races being scored. Everyone else has kind of not had the full number of races scored. So something that's going to be interesting, the battle with Marquardt and Blumenfeld. Matthew Marquardt still has one more 70.3 score available to be scored. KB is still scoring that bad result from Oceanside. So we'll kind of see how that shakes out through championship season, obviously, with this race in Nice being more points and then 70.3 World Championship. So those are 2 big ones. Cam Worf's in the top 10. Matt Hansen's in the top 10. Casper and Gustav are both in the top 10 as well. Anything that you guys are looking forward to as far as the Pro Series? Are we going to see? I mean, everyone's going to want to finish this race because the bonus, 1,000 points?
Yeah, there's an extra 1,000 points on the line here, which makes it really important because the gap, especially if you win it. Now, I think for me, this is like make or break for the Pro Series for Christian Blumenfeld. If he wins this, he's borderline job done on the Pro Series. He does have a theoretical big lead, even though he's not in first place right now. A couple of names you mentioned there that we haven't spoken about at all. Cam Worth, he's having a good season. Can he? What can he do? Where can Cam Worth finish, Pat?
Cam Worth got 7th place last year in Kona, and I mean, I was thrilled for him. If you saw him come through the finish, he looked pissed off, and I was like, "Dude, you just nailed this race." I think that's probably where Cam can finish this year, and he should be super pumped if he gets 6th place. This bike course suits him. I think ultimately.
He also is a swimmer now. So, I mean,
yeah,
he could be in that pro group with everyone and go get away.
I think that what we're going to see from
Not
this
so far-fetched.
Yeah, I think we're going to see from this bike course that everybody focuses so much. Everybody's so keyed up on this first 45-minute climb that it almost, I think, is going to negate the rest of the race because everyone's just going to be so focused on it. And it's very similar to I think it will play out very similar to how last year's Kona played out, where the bike was hard, but it was just kind of this thing that the front 15 guys had to get through. And then we see where everybody ended up for the run based on how over their limit they went ultimately on the bike. I have a feeling that it's certainly not going to be a group the size of what we saw last year, but I think that the front group will be, for this course, massive and remain that way for the majority. We might see a group go, the Sam Laidlow group might have as many as 6 guys in it, and then there's probably going to be 10 or 12 chasing. Or I think it's going to be Laidlow and one other with a group of roughly 15 to 20 in tow.
Cam Worth, can he match his best Ironman World Championship, top 5?
I don't think people understand how actually incredible Cam Worth's bike in Frankfurt was. It was insanity. I know it sounds crazy.
Texas, you mean?
Frankfurt, with Christian Hogenhag at the front. A lot of people mislooked. He was 9 minutes down out of the water and was able to catch that Magnus group. That was with no assistance. So it was an insane bike. And he, of course, faded a little bit on the run because when you bike that hard. He did crash here last year, which is kind of funny given that he's the only Pro Tour rider in the field. But I don't think that's going to happen again. For the love of my triathlon series, if you haven't watched on YouTube, I need Magnus and Cam to podium. It would really help my views. But don't look past Cam. I mean, it's he could sneak into that top 5.
Cam could be a stimulus for the second group.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially what Mark said, he's one of those wetsuit guys. Watch Cam if it's a wetsuit swim, because he could easily come out in that Magnus Gustav group just like he did in Texas. So,
yeah. Something else interesting to kind of hit on, there's over 20 rookies in this race. Frontline by a bunch of guys that we've mentioned already: Jamie Riddle, Martin Van Riel, Jonas Schoenberg, Casper Storns, Willie Hirsch, Jan Stratman, probably a few others, but those are probably the quote-unquote big names that we can mention. Obviously the guys we've mentioned stand out. Something that we haven't gone too deep on. Casper Storns, yeah?
Why haven't we? I mean, I guess because he routinely gets beat by his Norwegian peers, one or the other. So if we talk about the Norwegians, we focus on them. He could still, he could podium here. Like he is a good enough athlete to podium here if he rides exceptionally well.
And not only that, he will not come out of the water with Christian and Gustav. He comes out of the water with Sam Laidlow, that Rudy group.
Yeah.
So it's how long can he sit in with those boys and ride with them? He struggled with it in Oceanside. He learned to do it a little bit more in Texas.
5th in Texas and then 3rd at Frankfurt.
At Frankfurt, he could just be. Sam Long posted a phenomenal post yesterday sitting at a table, and he said, "Is it time to buy Sam Long stock? I'd be buying Casper Stornez stock right now if I was anyone."
He'll be an interesting one to follow for sure. I like talking about like top Americans.
You don't say.
Well, it just everyone else does it. All the other big sports for World Championship, they always do it. So
It's Rudy von Berg.
Rudy von Berg, Matt Hansen, Mark Watt, Jason West.
It's Rudy von Berg.
Rudy von Berg.
Von Berg.
He's by far the best Ironman. I know Mark Watt's won a couple of races this year, and we always sleep on him a bit. But like, I think when it comes to a really big race, Rudy has proved time and time again to be a bit of a thoroughbred. He's there or thereabouts the whole day, and he runs consistently really well. Whereas Mark Watt has a tendency to have to like ride a load of time into people to get back in the race because he's, I don't know, pulled his butt cheek or something in transition. So
yeah,
but it's Rudy. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just for fun, let's go through kind of the 5 big countries that have star power. The other one, Australians, it's been a long time since they've been on the top step of a world championship, but they have Ben Hill, Cam Wurf, Nick Thompson. I think between Cam Wurf and Nick Thompson, it'll be interesting. All 3 of those guys know how to ride a bike, so they'll be toward the front of that race. Great Britain, you got Zach Cooper, Joe Skipper, Kieran Linders, and then Harry Palmer uploaded a questionable video. Doesn't know if he's going to be able to bounce back after some back pain.
Joe Skipper's racing?
Yeah, it changes everything.
Isn't he racing right now as we speak?
What's he racing?
He's racing an Ironman right now.
No, he raced a 70.3. I think the one Cam Main won. I think he came 6th or something.
Okay.
Kieran Linders probably even with a bad season. It's not a particularly strong showing from the Brits there, I would say.
Yeah.
On the men's side, it hasn't been for a long time.
Denmark, you got Daniel Bakkegaard.
Sorry, we'll have Sam Laidlow. He's not French. It's bullshit.
Denmark, you got Daniel Bakkegaard, Magnus Ditlev, Christian Hogenhag, and Matthias Petersen. I think most of us are going to say Magnus Ditlev. Daniel Bakkegaard's had a stellar bounce back after being now coached by Philip Seep. He's going to be a name that I think we should watch for. He's kind of reinvented himself and put himself in, I would say, conversation to be a contender in the World Championship this year.
Mm-hmm.
A contender. Not a favourite, but a contender. And it'd be cool to see him go well. He just grafts his Bakkegaard day in, day out. He puts out good content.
Yeah, totally.
So the Germans obviously has the biggest contingent of racers with Finn Grosse-Friese, who's on fire, Patrick Lang, who's defending Ironman World Championship from winning Kona last year, Willie Hirsch, Jonas Schoenberg, Paul Schuster, Dominique Sowenia, who's in the top 10 of the Pro Series, and Jan Stratman. So
I think the biggest question with the German field is Patrick Lang this next week, a week from today, become the greatest Ironman athlete that Germany has ever produced of all time, the GOAT of Ironman?
If he wins, yes.
It's just a fact. If he wins 4 world champs, you know,
he beats Jan.
You can't. People love Jan. He talks well. He's charismatic. He's good looking. He bounced around lots of other distances. But if you win 4 world champs across the time span Patrick has, it's hard to argue.
I mean,
you can't.
That would be 7 years between 8 years between the time he won his first world championship, right? And and his 4th.
I would love to see
the only thing that Jan would then have over Patrick. I say the only 2 things: a 70.3 world title and an Olympic gold medal.
I said long distance. Ironman.
We're saying Ironman.
Ironman GOAT.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd give it to him. We'd give it to him.
You know what's sad and funny about it is Jan such a showman, everyone look, that even if you asked all your standard age groupers who's won more world titles, even if Patrick won, they would say, "Oh, Jan Frodeno." Jan Frodeno.
Yeah, true.
Jan Frodeno.
Well, I think we've hit pretty much everything that we've had on our notes. You guys ready to move into some hot takes?
Big reminder to everyone, we will be doing a live show Friday at 1:30 live in Nice. So for any age groupers, we're going to be sending this out via our Instagram, but please show up. There's going to be doing a ton of, we're going to be doing coffee, treats, etc. It's going to be an amazing space. I think.
Win is going to be providing the goods.
Yeah, there you go. Talbot, big giveaway guy. Wove, we might be doing a Wove saddle giveaway.
Might be doing a Wove saddle. Be handing out a Feed $100 gift card. I've been handing out a lot of those recently. We got some. Can we hand away a MNSTRY pack of some goods?
The issue is I don't think we got to figure out Sebastian is not going to be there in
figure out
person.
some logistics for that, but I think that we can probably make something happen.
Oh, we can mail some.
Just go rob their expo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that is true.
Perfect.
That is true.
Thank you, Mark.
And the only way to win all this is you do got to be at the live show itself. So,
is there limited seating, Pat? Am I under the impression that there's limited seating?
We can go standing room only. We can go standing room only. No problem.
And we did invite Scott DeRue. And I got to say, like, I don't know if he would sit in our presence, given granted he was sitting with billionaires at a table this last week in Oman. Are we going to be graced by his presence? My pockets aren't that deep, but is he going to join us?
It will be. He's a busy man. He's a busy man. I would be surprised if he came, but we would be honored and privileged if he did.
I mean, Mark's going to be collecting a $200,000 check here soon. Does that suit? Is that deep enough?
Oh, I'd like a second one. By me, I mean Kat. Right. I think the Scott DeRue thing leads us nicely into hot takes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
certainly.
What was he doing this past weekend?
Yeah. Right. Do you want my prediction?
Yeah, please.
Oh, go on, Pat. Go on, Pat.
No, I think
he uploaded. Hold on. Let's set the room. He uploaded on his Instagram of him in Oman, and said big announcement coming on Friday. Led to believe that they may be announcing the 2026 Pro Series calendar and Pro Series or Pro Triathlete calendar. However, big announcement coming from Oman.
Yeah. So
Ironman, road to Oman.
I think it's going to be very similar to that. I'm going to say a couple things I believe to be true. Scott DeRue is not getting in a plane to fly to someplace very far away.
Agree. They are gifting a jet to Scott DeRue that he can fly around the world in for now on out because he's the president.
But all the age groupers have to spend $1 billion doing it up for Scott. Just that's the deal.
No, but in all seriousness, there's going to be a big check attached with this partnership, whether it's going to be part of the Pro Series, whether this is going to be potentially they've got a world championship coming there at 70.3 world championship could be there in 2027, presumably. I think this is going to be part of a much larger partnership that some of it will be forward facing, other parts of it won't be. But I think certainly it seems like he's going to announce the Pro Series. I would presume that there's a world where Oman put up the $4, $5, $6, $7 million to cover the cost for Ironman for doing the prize money for the whole thing. And I see this only as good news. He ain't flying somewhere for bad news.
It's almost as Mark said the other day. I would never go to Happy Valley 70.3. I'd never go to Oman. But this sport takes you cool places. And so if they do some type of partnership, it benefits the athletes, it benefits the sport. I'm stoked. So you can only think it's going to be a 70.3 world championship.
And that was what I was going to say. We have next year's, don't we have a gap? We're not sure where 2027
No. We're going to Nice next year.
26 and then 28 with the option of 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we're missing a year there, right?
We're missing 2 years. 27 and 29.
Right. So could that be Oman? Definitely. Could Oman also be the title sponsor of the Pro Series? Definitely.
Could they be the title sponsor?
He's not flying to, I'm going to say this, he's not flying to Oman to solely launch 70.3 Worlds. This is, I'm going to Oman because they're writing a huge check for something else that we are all very excited about.
So what you're
I
basically
agree.
saying
It's
is,
also
Pat,
really nice, by the way, Albert. Sorry, by the way, Oman is really nice. Like, Muscat's a cool capital city. It is one of the best countries in the Middle East, I would say, to go visit. It's very good for tourism. It makes a lot of sense to me that there'll be a race there and a big fat check.
I really hope that some of these, the gentlemen from Amman will be at the World Championship, because I will be going over to introduce myself, let him know about my triathlon series, tell him where he can watch it at, tell him if he wants to sponsor it, and also let him know about the 20-meter draft rule that all the pro athletes are looking for next year, because he might have some say.
Mark's tossed his headset.
Just one show without it. I mean, it's just one. But yeah, I think it's actually probably really positive for Ironman. Because also, like, if they ever hit any financial difficulty, a slight slow in sales, whatever it might be, sponsorship drops, which we know they've had a bit of problems with. One of the easiest things to save a load of cash would be to chop the Pro Series. And it's great for the sport. Look, you got KB racing this weekend, probably for that reason. You've got all these big names really focusing on way more racing. So for us, it would be excellent.
Yep. That kind of reminds me, bringing up the 20-meter draft rule thing. Do you guys think that there's going to be any big penalties this year at the Ironman World Championship in Nice? Do you think that the 12 meter is going to play a factor in the race? What do you think?
I just hope no one crosses that center line.
I think, obviously you brought it up and it kind of G'd Mark up, but I think it was a very good point where 2 years ago we did 70.3 Worlds, and there was the very hotly contested incident where Lionel crossed the center line and got a penalty on a road with no center line. And then that led us to
32nd place.
And then there was 3 weeks later, there was this World Championship, the first time in Nice, on roads with no center line. The issue is that if you were in the room for the athlete briefing, you'll remember that Jimmy dropped the ball on how this was going to be handled. And Andrew Messick, the CEO at the time, stepped in and had to cover this for the athletes. So now Jimmy's going to get another run at this to try and explain how they're going to do the penalties on these roads with no center line. I wish everyone the best on how they interpret that meeting.
Another meeting that they need to talk about is, what are they going to do when Pat's running side by side with them, because Magnus is in second place and Pat's trying to get someone a penalty for running beside him.
Another thing to all the professional athletes, if any of them listen to the show, which we do know a lot of them, if you get a disqualification card, just let it go in one ear and out the next. We've seen this time and time again. Okay. You can protest it at the finish line. Do not stop at a penalty tent. You saw Magnus do this in Frankfurt. You've seen this happen to Lionel. It just happened to Thor at Ironman Copenhagen. If you get a red card, disqualification card, keep racing and do not let it affect you. I know it's hard. I have never been in that circumstance. I never will. I'm just saying you have the right to protest it at the end.
Mark, what did we miss on what's going to happen with respect to the rules on the field of play here? And I think it does, Kyle. It does go worth noting to follow along. The Christian Hogenhaug penalty in Frankfurt, he was followed by somebody that wasn't deemed part of his crew, but received a penalty because that person ran next to him.
But then there's conflicting reports. There's some people that say he was in his camp, some people that say he wasn't in his camp. But irregardless, we just need a definitive decision on this, correct?
We need a definitive guidance on what they're going to do here. Yeah, Mark?
I think they won't change anything. The rule will stand as it is. And I think if someone else is doing it alongside you and you receive a penalty, just ignore the penalty, point out at the end that it absolutely was no one I know. What are you talking about? And I think also just a reminder to all the other coaches, loads of support staff listening to this, just to stand still. It's really, really simple. I ride, you'll often see me on the coverage on a bike scooting down the course. Get off, both feet on the ground, stand still. So you don't fuck with other people's races,
but
not just your athletes.
I even go one step further, Mark. So like, let's say that I'm riding to support Kat. When I'm riding past her, I do not make eye contact. Right?
I'm on the broadcast all the time, and people comment like, "Why is Mark ignoring her?" Because I turn my head away because I'm terrified.
Yes. And so I think that's part of it too. Like when we're leapfrogging, while I'm doing that leapfrogging, I specifically go out of my way to not make any eye contact with the athlete that I'm supporting.
And also, to be clear here, there was nothing cooler than watching the live stream last year at New Zealand and watching all the Kiwis ride next to Hayden. If you are a fan and you want to ride next to these athletes, do it. We're talking more so the people on the team. If you are going to ride next to the athletes and you want to say, keep it up, keep going, don't be pulling out your phone, giving them splits, though. That's where it messes things up. Mark, you want to add on to that? This is a moment in history that people get to enjoy and ride next to their favorite athletes. I don't want to take away from that. You know what I mean? Like Ironman could shove it if they want to stop that.
I will say, if you're going to ride next to athletes on the course in Nice, do watch out for the bollards in the middle of the bike path, because I rode, whilst Kat was still out on the bike, I rode straight into one, like full tilt, spanked my bike in, crashed. Daniel arrived, had to give me some first aid in the VIP lounge because I was bleeding everywhere. So just watch out the bollards.
And Mark, you were or were not? You were not. There's no chance you were on your phone for that. What were you?
I was watching the broadcast, riding no-handed. Had my phone in my hand.
Yeah.
I was watching the broadcast, and I looked up, and it was just a bollard, and I just smashed into it. Yeah.
Speaking of the broadcast, what advice do we have for the broadcast team this weekend?
One thing, we shouldn't issue advice because we've commentated a few times and it's bloody hard work. So we shouldn't issue advice. However, go on.
So
Carl,
I meant things we've learned.
Go on, Carl.
I think the biggest thing is Ironman has improved their broadcast throughout the season. It's no secret that they hired Sam Twine from Triathlon Insights, and he's doing a really, really good job on creating a beautiful run of show, making sure people know exactly who each athlete is, what they're wearing, what their history is, things like that. So that's one thing that they've been using to improve is Sam's taking it to a whole nother level for them, making sure that everyone's duly prepared for what's going to happen in the race. I think that we could see the trial of what they're going to do next year at the Ironman World Championship in Kona. I would assume that they're going to trial that, doing multiple different angles, multiple different camera shots, similar to what they did in 2022 for the Ironman World Championship. But I think making sure that one, everyone's in all the same place, minus the on the ground commentator, and two, making sure that they have people that know what they're talking about.
I'm stoked that I'm going to be in Europe and I can watch on YouTube and not have to watch on trash outside watch. I hope that this is their last year, or I pray that someone incredible human from Oman can buy out outside. So if you're in America, you can watch it on YouTube, because outside watch TV, whatever it is trash.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've only ever watched a few on there. It's god awful. It's got a VPN for you in America, remember it. And for us in the UK, it's a VPN to get onto Pornhub.
Mark.
So everything's banned. Literally everything on the internet in the UK is banned. VPN sales have gone through the absolute roof. That can stay in. The other one is for the motorbikes. When you are filming beside an athlete, I know they love the side shot on the bike. If now and again you turn your camera 45 degrees so you can see if there's gaps behind, that's really cool. So if that is what I would love to see the motorbikes do. The side shot for 5 minutes is so boring. Just pan back to see what the group's like, the gaps and stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought too that, last year we were flying like a little bit blind, it seemed at times on the hill. And so is there any way that, because the speeds are reduced, that they could somehow get an additional camera on the hill to just tell that narrative a little bit better? Because I think it is so critical and pivotal for the race.
I don't know what they're. He could go into some crazy details as far as like whether they have Starlink or satellites or a helicopter above. There's probably so much logistics involved. But
And everyone wearing that GPS tracker, right? Like, is there a way that we can see all that data? Like,
Yeah,
there's gotta be a
the issue is that the GPS tracking data has been notoriously off this year, and my fear is that when you throw it in a canyon climb, we're not going to get the clean data that we wish. And so ultimately, when they're doing the broadcast from BCC here, they're pulling the actual mat data because they just haven't figured out a way to get the GPS data to be super clean and accurate yet.
Yeah.
So
Are we gonna do some picks? We didn't even do picks.
Live
We-
show
we-
picks.
live show we pick. You got to
Live
tune into the live show. It's going to be
Yep.
on YouTube, everyone. Right after the live show, we'll premiere it on YouTube. Outside of that, I do want to give it a little self-promotion plug here. I'm working on a big series for the feed. It's called Triathlon. I'm trying to make it different than a little other the content. It's more to sit back and train to. Other than that, I would love for you to head over to the feed YouTube, follow it because it helps me. But we are super, super excited for this week. We are all going to be boots on the ground there. We're having the live show. Make sure you follow us on Instagram so you can see what the live show is at. We'd love to have you guys there. Championship season is here. We are so freaking excited. There's no better place for you to keep up with all the latest information other than the #1 podcast in triathlon, Pro Tri News. We'll see you next week.